you doing today?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Beautiful. I'm great. It's a beautiful day. It's Friday, a little bit of traffic, but we
Right?
know we're just moving into the weekend. So it's like no matter how you're delayed on the highway, you're still smiling because hey,
I like that. I like that because you are on the highway actually,
yeah,
and it's
yes,
good to
yes,
have you
yes,
here.
yes, yes,
I
yes, yes,
believe that we are going to have a bit of conversation on culture, music,
yes,
environment, and everything.
yes, yes,
But
yes.
I would say that it's been a while we heard from you and everything. So, what have you been doing? Where have you been?
Oh, I've been busy actually because it was the last two singles, which was "Never Bow Down," was nominated for a Grammy. And then right afterwards, I had Shade Tree,
Yeah.
which was released and was filmed up in Brazil, and then now I have Rise. So I've been busy more in terms of singles, getting ready for a full length album,
Okay.
which we are hoping to release the first quarter of next year.
Okay.
And then in the midst of that too, I have been traveling and doing concerts, like all the different parts of the world. Since then, we've done from Brazil to the US. We just came back from Canada, and just prepping to come up with some new music. So
Okay.
what we've been doing is just doing all the groundwork.
That's
you
good.
know, yes.
So you're literally preparing the grounds for what's to
Preparing
come.
at the same time to giving snapshots of what is coming.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I like that. I like that. So I know that when we talk about Rocky Dawuni, the first
Yes.
thing that comes to mind is the fact that you are a 3-time Grammy nominated artist. And on this part of the world, it looks good on us as Africans and especially as Ghanaians. How does it feel to be a 3-time Grammy nominated artist?
I just say, how does it feel to be a musician? That's for me,
Really?
because it's more like, I've said this countless times, for me, I just love the calling of doing music,
Okay.
and I think that that calling, the love for music and the love to also create artwork that I felt was had a message in it at the same time too, had social impact at the same time too, made people dance and inspire people, led me to constantly innovate my music and look for new influences and all of that. So it has allowed me to be, in terms of my creativity, become more dynamic.
Yeah.
And I feel that that dynamism in terms of pushing the boundaries and every album trying to really create new dimensions to my Afro root sound, I feel that that is what has led to those recognitions. There was never like a conscious effort to go out seeking certain recognitions for the music. I just feel that it's just that I invested myself in loving and innovating and creating new sounds and putting myself to and working as hard as I could.
Okay.
And it's a product of that.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, okay. Now let's come to how you started music, because in your submission now you mentioned that when it began for you,
Yes,
right?
yes.
When music found you.
Yes.
So it means that you didn't go chasing for music, but music
Yes,
came
yes,
to you. So
yes,
how
yes.
did that journey of
You
this
know-
journey begin?
I was born in Michel Camp in Tema.
Yeah.
And that environment was, the military family. So very strict. And at the same time, too, you had, people from every tribe was
Yeah.
represented in the barracks. And so, first of all, I started learning to speak a lot more Ghanaian languages there because most of the kids came from different tribes. So we learned all of that. And then I really came into the realization at that time that I had a knack for melodies. Whenever I heard melodies, whenever I heard songs, I was like, oh my God, this is what they did. This is what they did, even as a little kid. So I had a deeper understanding of songs, and I always deconstructed songs that I heard into the parts that I was like, okay, this is what it's all about.
Okay.
So that made me feel that this was a calling, because if I develop this and I work on this and I accept this as my pathway, I'll keep growing in my knowledge of it. So then that led me to now I was trying to hear more. So in my school, Services Primary, we had a cultural troupe. So I joined the cultural troupe, and that was when I started also learning like various Ghanaian traditional music, rhythms and dances and all of that, and drumming. So I started formulating my musical perspective. And then added to that, the Ghana military at that time used to be part of the United Nations peacekeeping force. So the military always traveled to Egypt, in the Middle East, and then when they were coming back, they brought new music. So
how many years ago are we talking?
Oh, I'll say from like 70, I'll say 80.
Okay.
79, 80. Yeah. I was a kid, a little kid, you know what I mean? I was growing, so you had music.
So it was everywhere.
It was everywhere. So when they came, everybody's house, they were playing new records, and and that wasn't on the radio.
Right. These were sounds they had brought down.
That they had brought out, and it was diverse.
Wow.
And everybody wanted to showcase what they had bought. And they were buying all of these records too that were being released in the US and other places that were not available in Ghana. So all of a sudden I was being educated on all of these sounds and all of that. And they also added to my knowledge base. So I recognized that I was called in terms of my life to be a singer. And when I recognized that, then my path was now to do whatever I could to facilitate the opportunity, to create the connections, to create a platform so that the world can hear what I had to say through my music.
Wow.
Yes.
So you're literally like a mouthpiece putting out the message.
Well, we all are. I just found mine.
Okay. Well, I don't think you're wrong, because there are people who are still trying to find what their mission is. So it's great that you were able to find it with all the sounds around you. Someone would have thought that, okay, these were too many sounds and it would have rather constituted noise or a nuisance. But you were able to realize that there was potential in there and also for you, and you developed this. So kudos. Kudos. And as far back as 80s, I don't even think my parents had met. So I can't even relate to that part of the story. But now down on the journey, right? You have found your sound, or literally you're still finding it as you go.
I'm still finding it as I go, because it was, all those pop influences, the traditional music, and then also the high life music too that I was growing up on, the African Brothers, you
always speak of them.
Yes, because they're a big influence on me. And it's a big influence. I mean, I always say that before I discovered the greatness of Bob Marley, I knew the greatness of Nana Pedu.
Right.
And for me, he represented that ultimate musician, and he was that impactful. He was a great musician. He was also a great writer, and he had the ability to also do storytelling within the music. And I remember the stories used to take me to a whole nother world. It's like music, but he's good at, it was almost like a painter, a musician who was a painter, like with the stories. And for me, that was genius. And it inspired me so much. So, he was one of the foundational people. And of course, I discovered Fela Kuti, and the Fela's music, Sonny Ade, all of these foundational fathers of Nigerian music too, who were doing it. And then all of it, Osibisa, great musicians that became influential for me. But then there was also a band in the Barras called Hot Barrels, who were the first band that I started hanging out with when I was a little kid, because they were the military band. So their leader was my first kind of, when it came to stage, I was like, I wanted to be like this guy.
Okay.
And Julius Mingle, he's of blessed memory right now, but he was the first person to spark the need in me that I want to stand on the stage, I want to sing my message, I want to connect with people, I want to make people happy, I want to bring joy through what I do. Yes.
Okay. So this is just, by the way, if you had not done music, having been in the barracks, being surrounded by military men, do you think you would have gone into the military?
There was a lot of pressure, my dad, because he was in the army, and and a lot of our people we grew up with and ended up in the military. So my dad was always like, one of you got to go to the army. My older brother is now the chief of Bumbo, and then I'm a musician,
Wow.
and none of our family members ever went into the military. I mean, but my uncle was in the army too, so I'll say that we still had family members, but as for a direct line,
none.
After the military barracks, I found my calling, So, but at the same time too, I'm always, I grew up with a military mindset. I grew up in the barracks. I was born there. I only left the barracks, when I was 12 years old. So I was like a child that was incubated with a, in a military environment.
Military space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now let's come back to you saying that you learn every step of the way, right? And that you adapted from the different sounds.
Yes.
Nana, the
African
brothers. You found Fela Kuti as well, and you put everything you were learning together, and you created a niche for yourself. This is going to be general when it comes to Ghanaian music.
Yes.
Do you think that we are doing that in our part of the world when it comes to our music industry?
Well, an industry is a big space, you know what I mean? And you have different artists who are doing different things, and everybody is inspired by different things, What I was inspired by is different from what another artist,
person will be.
So they are going to represent their truth in their own way.
But are we learning?
Learning, I will say that everybody learns in private. It's hard to know, I can't know what you're learning or what the knowledge base you have unless you create something and I'm just like amazed. I'm just like, how did you do it? And you're like, oh, this is how I did it, or I realize, oh, you've been listening to something. I see you doing something just because you're learning. I think that the most important thing is to have an environment that inspires creativity.
Okay.
That's the most important thing. If musicians feel like here they are free to innovate, and there's a support too of radio, and radio does not force everybody to be a certain one way, that you have to be the one way in order to be played, then everybody's going to try to be that one way, then that stifles innovation. But if we want the scene to grow and all of that, then we have to start opening our playlist of what we embrace, so that artists too can be, artists who are pushing the boundaries are being rewarded with airplay. And all of a sudden we have like a whole creative army of incredible people, and I feel that is where we want our industry to get, whereby the industry inspires creativity, the people become very creative, the music becomes very, 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 very innovative, and then all of a sudden we have a sound that the whole world wants to be part of.
Speaking about a sound, as it stands now, you have had the privilege to travel.
Yes.
You've heard different sounds from different worlds, right?
Yes.
You've mounted the stage. You've mounted a stage with great talents as well, who equally have different sounds.
Yes.
From every part of the world, there's a sound that vibrates from that part of the world that joins into the international market, and it becomes a sound that you are recognized with as a people. Do you think that Ghana has that sound?
Oh, Ghana has that sound. Ghana has a distinct sound that you can know is a Ghanaian artist.
Okay.
We have that, but the thing is that we haven't broadly branded what that sound is, because it changes.
As in when?
Yeah, it changes, because you had, like High Life is a foundational. Before High Life, you had different versions, from Palm Wine, High Life. And then even High Life, within High Life, you had Boga, you had Sichi, you had all of these dimensions of High Life music. And then that when hip hop and rap came to, it influenced High Life. They had hip life, and then you had stuff like Me Myself to reggae music, High Life music, all that Afro roots. So all of these are they're still in the ecosystem, a lot of innovation, and you had bands even back in the days from classic handles, which Kojo Entry came out of, to like No Coco, to all of these bands that were taking, like, they were Afro jazz, Afro fusion band. Ghana has always been a place, an incubator for diverse, cutting-edge, progressive sounds. The thing is that we create and we innovate, then
And we
others
leave.
come and love it.
For
They take
others.
it, they make it big, they brand it, and
And
they
they
call it
own
their
it.
own. It's okay because it's all African. Somebody must incubate and somebody must duplicate and then propagate.
Yeah. Very
Okay.
true, very true.
You know, but it all serves the common purpose of driving African music, African identity. I believe that if it wasn't for the partition of the continent, would have been a united people. And even the idea of that, oh, you know, this is Nigerian music, Ghana music, or that kind of stuff, wouldn't even have existed.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so in the concept, we are going to fundamentals. It's all Africans creating new sounds because our culture, our tribes, there's
Yeah.
so much. The
That we
food
can put
alone,
out.
every tribe, the food way they get,
Yeah.
the sounds way they get, the world view, the thinking, the dressing, all of that. We are so endowed with such diversity, and I feel that that makes the well springs of innovation endless for us. You know, so that's why maybe we would just like to create, and then when we create, we are bored with it, then we move on to the next thing because we don't want to be, you know, kind of stuck with one thing. But now that we are in a time to when everybody's talking about a sound that, you know, I believe because the conversation is happening, we'll come to a point where we'll identify something. But I believe that the Ghanaian sound is heavily steeped in high life.
Okay.
You know, high life is kind of like the compass of what the Ghanaian sound is. So once it's built and integrated within that framework, then it is a sound of Ghana, you know, like in all its purity.
I like that you pinpointed that highlight because we know that from every genre that we have,
Yes.
there are roots from high life in there. You
Yes.
can find a note or two in there. You are the king of Afro roots, and you have said that you took inspiration from almost every part of it, right? When we talk about now, the conversation is actually being had everywhere. Where even now South Africans are out there, their music is being recognized in the international markets and everything. What do you think that we are not doing right? Because back here at home, the conversation always circles around language, and they say
Yes.
that because we are singing in the local dialect, that's why we are unable to cross borders. But we have our brothers and sisters out there who are singing in their local dialect, and they are
Yeah.
doing it as
I mean,
well.
Salif Keita was a big, huge hit with Yaka Yaki, and nobody
Right.
understood the
But
context
they
of
loved it.
You know, Yusun Dor has always sung
Yeah.
in Wolof, and you know, and Alpha Blondie has always sung in Jula,
Yeah.
and all of that. And
Even
they
now,
do songs-
Ashake,
Asake
the later
sings-
generation,
Yeah, you know, so
all these
language.
things.
The
And
beautiful
Shirley
thing
Kijo.
about the beautiful thing about our local language is even it has such melodies. The melodies are so different that even for people who are kind of are into melody, when they hear that, it's something fresh and new to their ears. But that's why if we take those same melodic templates and we put English in there, but with the same melodies, then we create something new. That's like Afrobeat, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Okay.
like
Yeah.
same African melodies, but then you're singing in language that is familiar. So you internationalize in the receiving audience language, but at the same time too melodically you draw them into
To
who
your
you
space.
are and your
Yeah.
space. You know, so the creativity, there's just so many different ways that
Yeah.
an artist can integrate their vision and at the same time too you know, be kind of educated and tactful in terms of when you are because when you're writing music as a musician, after you write it for yourself and you love it, you also have to understand who's going to listen to it,
Yeah.
what is the audience, and why am I doing this? You know what I mean? So all of those things, then songwriting, song craftness come in, where you're like, oh, the song is too long, maybe people will be bored, so let me remove a few kind of bars and a few words and then concise it. People will listen to it more. What do I want to say here? What do I want to say in the chorus? What do I mean here? And then you integrate all of those things, and then you come out, and then the song, when people hear it, is flawless, it's simple, it's sophisticated, it's beautiful, it's inspirational, and people don't understand why, but because there was thought that was put into the creative process, you know. So I think that when you do it that way, you always come with something that will truly reflect yourself, and if it truly reflects yourself, then that means other people can identify with it.
I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you ever lose yourself? Did you ever have a point where you felt confused, especially when you were tapping or learning from all these music genres that we had?
I wouldn't say it's confusion. I would
Okay.
say it's more like, you have points where you become kind of, when you've tapped all the inspiration that you have, you feel like artistically empty, and you feel like you've done the same thing
Over and over.
and over again, and you yourself, you're not inspired by what you're making, and you just don't like what you see in the mirror, what you sing, you hear, So then, for me, what that happens is that then I take a pause, and then I go into nature, I go into my farms, I just go do other stuff and then listen, and then I go to clubs, so just listen to music without trying to write, without trying to force something out. I just go and be a student again, back to the
soak it in.
fundamentals. Listen, upcoming musicians, I'll go, go work with them. I'll call people, you're like, come and teach me some chords. I want to
Wow.
learn. So, somebody will come and start giving you lessons and stuff, and you're learning. So you're doing the work to open the parameters of inspiration beyond what you are used to by going back to the fundamentals. So as you do that, then at some point, then you come and you feel, all of a sudden you feel like, whoa, I
There's a
just
freshness.
I just want to do it this way, I want to
Yeah.
do it that way. Then you go back again with a new zeal and a new purpose, and then you just make it happen. I think that when you do it that way, then you are constantly, it becomes a way of life. The art becomes your way of life, and your creativity becomes your way of life. And then you also, every innovation is like an opportunity to be joyous, because the human spirit and energy, we thrive on being partakers in creation.
Right.
God is a creator.
Yeah.
So creativity is God's favorite thing. So if you're not creating and asserting that aspect of your being, then you feel a lot of times stuck. So that's why I feel that everybody, if you have some talent, some level of creativity, you have to. It doesn't matter what you do, even painting, when you do it in private, or you make your own music in private, you don't necessarily have to share your music with everybody, but you have to always have an outlet for that creativity, so that you feel a sense of wholesomeness. Yes.
From everything you've been saying from the beginning of the conversation, it looks as though you never stop learning.
No, you can't, because you have life. Every day, even when you wake up in the morning and you go out, you are learning again, because the factors that were yesterday are different.
Sure.
And the factors that are today, you don't know them in advance. They're going to keep coming to you, and you have to use the knowledge from yesterday to try and engage and do that. So you have to, it's an opportunity for new things to be learned.
Right.
Once you stop learning, then you lose sight of, the excitement of life.
Okay.
Life is about learning. Life is about experience. Life's about excitement to be here, excitement to be a part of this, have friends, have people, meet great people, hear good conversation, eat good food, enjoy the moment, and enjoy it with the people you love. That's what life is about. Yeah.
Okay. So then, would you say that it's essential for a musician, a songwriter, an artist to constantly evolve with time, especially from when you started music, your journey, you've traveled through centuries, if I am allowed to say that. You've been around a different kind of people whose way of thinking have evolved over the period. Now we are in the Gen Z era where they see things way different from the way we see things. Life is like on a lighter note for them. So with everything that you've said now, would you say that it is essential for an artist to evolve with their sound, their craft,
we
and
are all
everything?
part of one generation, so there's nothing different from anybody here. We are all alive right now, whether
True.
you are Z or A or
True.
Q or wherever you are.
Yeah.
Experiences here. Life is not about starting from 1 and ending 100. Some people grow up, by the time they're 10, they're no more.
True.
Some people will live to be 100. Some people will live to be 50. Some people, you can't predict what it is. So your life is what you are given. Right now, we are all here together. This generation, 500 years from now, will all not be here.
True.
You know what I mean? So we are here because God chose for us to intercept each other in this time. So I feel that our experiences are shared and intertwined and interconnected. So whatever is happening in terms of technology, most of us, we are also being affected as, what even the younger people are dealing with. But what we have to understand is that there's also a new technology has actually changed the dynamics of how our everyday life, we've been living it. We have the capacity to send information faster. Before, we have the capacity to make the world much more closer. Whilst in time, I think we've shrunk time. So now, everything is quick and immediate.
Yeah.
Nobody has patience for anything longevity. Everybody wants to be quick and be rich.
Here and
Nobody has
now.
the time to build up and that kind of stuff. We are all a bit impatient as people. But the thing is that what we have to understand is that life is also about loving the process, the journey. Life is about learning from each other. So Gen Z or whatever the other, it's about how do we all learn from each other and inspire each other. And Gen Z take the knowledge and wisdom of their fathers and mothers. And then the fathers and mothers also learn from their children too, who are at the cusp of new eyes, of seeing new things new. They are not, their point of reference is different. How do they see things? So you take all of that, and that's part of learning. Because if you don't learn and see how things are being seen, we'll live in parallel worlds. We'll be in the same room, but we're not of the same world.
True.
So I feel that there's an importance of a generational gap. And the generational gap is that certain people, grew up in a time when technology was not influential as it is right now. They knew a world which was slower, a world where things were much more organic. And then there's certain people too right now who didn't know that world, who are bits and bytes and algorithmic, directed generation. So the younger generation need the wisdom of our elders and people to impart to them what our culture, who we are, our identity, because the digital identity doesn't belong to anybody. It belongs to whoever is programming the algorithm.
True.
So, and we Africans are not the ones programming the algorithm the last time I checked. So our culture is the place of our power.
Yeah.
And we are a continent, as I was saying earlier, endowed with such diversity, such power, innate power, natural power. So how do we now take that aspect of technology to really tell our story and also to amplify our power in a way that it's ours, belongs to us, and also we share it in the world in the way that we see ourselves? So that's why I feel that there's the importance of generational conversation and influence, and we don't have to see one generation, you're passing the baton to another generation and then you retire another generation. No, once we all live within this generation, we all have to work together to make the times and tap into the valuable knowledge that we each have to inspire each other.
Yes. Wow, that was deep.
Very, very,
That
very
was
deep.
really deep.
I actually have a follow-up question to that. Do you, by any chance, see your music evolving as well with the times, or with do you see it evolving?
The music has. I mean, when I listen to some of my early records, there was this kind of evangelistic zeal, that you just to be heard, you just feel like you have to push it out.
Yes.
And then as you get comfortable in and then you also meet people. I always liked people also teaching me. That's what I've learned over the years. So, I've had the fortitude of playing with a lot of amazing musicians and meeting a lot of great musicians. So whenever I meet them, I go back to the student portion. I ask them certain questions that are artistic, and then they teach me stuff. Like even one thing that even made me go back to go and learn songwriting. I remember one day with one of my mentors who was actually loved my music, that now joined my band. Somebody that I was idolizing joined my band.
Okay.
So in one of our conversations, he was just like, you know, you have to change your singing from belting to singing.
Okay.
He
There's
says
a
you,
difference.
you belt,
You belt.
belt it out. He says, but you have to sing.
Sing.
Wow.
You know, it's like, if you're patient enough, I'll let you know what it is. But first, and at that time, I had also not learned music chords because I'd grown up here, Charlie Takashi Danes. I want to be a musician, Dolly, whether they like it or not. You know, so you haven't taken the time to learn certain things.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, those flaws are becoming apparent. You know, and then people are telling you, it's like it's like you have the knack for good songs and all of that. But if you pick a guitar, you are able to bring all of those ideas onto a chord structure, and then it gives you a much more, and then it helps you sing better, and your singing ability become better. So then I listened to this. So I took time off. After one album, I just took time off, like almost 1 year.
Wow.
Like guitar, taking lessons, all of that kind of stuff, working on my vocals, taking all of that kind of. So when, after that record, when I came back, that was when Hymns for the Rebel Soul came out, and that was a record that changed everything for me. You know, because it had songs like African Reggae Fever, it has songs like Download the Revolution, which was all these songs were licensed by EA for their video games worldwide. The album also was nominated for NAACP Image Award. So that was actually the album that actually set up for my follow-up album to be nominated. That's what most people don't know. Everybody looks at Branches of the Same Tree as the album that was nominated, but Branches of the Same Tree was nominated for the Grammys because Hymns for the Rebel Soul that had Jerusalem, like all the songs that have become, and even one of the tracks was recently, the lyrics in the tracks was recently quoted by the Prime Minister of Barbados during her speech to the United Nations. She quoted what's it called? The Walls Tumbling Down, which is from that album. So it was from me listening to these elders, stopping everything, like, you know what, I don't know anything. I've come this far. Everybody thinks I'm good, but I'm not good enough in terms of how I could be good enough. So I took time to go and work on that aspect and invest time in knowledge and all of that. And then it became apparent when, nobody had to tell me that it transformed mine, because when it came, that album came out, everybody
Even
was in agreement. That album was an album. And then it set me for a lot of the accolades that came to me later. Yes.
All right. Wow.
Yes.
And to think that you have all of these achievements, all these references, and you are still so humble, it always baffles me whenever. Like every time.
I'll invite you to my farm. You come.
We have to.
I'm harvesting cocoa right now.
I think.
Where's that farm?
Yeah.
Where?
We need to.
It's close to Koforidua. Yeah, it's close to Koforidua.
Okay.
We need to.
Yeah.
Hey.
Ufi
betom.
Pachai.
I mean, me at the chimboy.
Okay.
Share. See the Cape Town link.
Wow. So, when we think about the things you have achieved, the rooms you have been in, the people you have met and encountered, and all of that, and then we see you in person. The first time I was to interview you, I don't know, I think you noticed that I was very nervous, and it was for TV.
Yes,
but you made it so easy to have that conversation, and you still do.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. You know, for me, I always say that, when God gives you a gift, you have to wield that gift with a lot of gratitude, and not put your ego that you are somebody special, that God chose you. It's just a responsibility.
Yes.
It's because God has given you a responsibility, not because it's for ego for you to rub in people's face. So that responsibility also comes with a certain, because if you're not humble enough, for the responsibility also grows when people teach you. And people can only teach you when you're humble enough to listen to other people's opinion. And when you value other people's opinion, when you don't let your ego
come in the way.
Come in the way. And so that's why for me, and I love, even when, I've done stuff where, I've gone on tours. Last year I did Leaf Festival in North Carolina, and then, they wanted me to come about a week because they wanted me to go and talk to schools.
Yeah.
You know, so like some of the schools there, when like all these young people from, and it was even in an area that everybody said, oh, these people are Trump supporters and that kind of stuff, black people. I mean, all the sessions I did there, parents, grandparents, kids came. They had done research on Ghana. It was amazing how the power of music and the power of that you can go, and these kids came and they started telling me stuff about me, stuff that they've learned about Ghana, stuff that they've learned, and all of this. It was like education, that some stuff that I didn't even know.
Okay.
But because I went there with an open heart that I'm gonna come, connect with the community, connect with the kids, connect with the people, and teach them about where I come from, my culture, my music, before the due date of the festival. Then everybody became a participatory thing, and I learned so much. When I was leaving, my bag was full of letters.
Wow.
Letters that people wrote, letters of thanksgiving. And I was full of it because I take the letters and it's full of lyrics. Lyrics that I'm just like, I couldn't even imagine, because the things that these kids have written, I'm just like, I can, every 5 of them, I can make a song out
of them.
You know, so sometimes it's a matter of that when, you know, as they say, if your glass is full, nobody can add anything to it.
Yes.
You know, you have to constantly keep that space open. And
Have
I feel that when
fun.
you do that, greatness is not, greatness is a product because people help elevate you. And that knowledge that you need is given to you by others because you're humble enough to receive it.
I
Yes.
like that. Now, of course, you've been doing tremendously abroad. Everywhere you go, somebody knows about Rocky Dawuni. And once your name comes up, the next thing is Ghana coming up, because people know that you have projected Ghana in a good light out there. With a year of return, beyond the year of return, and with the good works that you're doing with your music and the message you're putting out there, talking about the culture, it's inviting people down here, right? So I brought up the year of return, before the year of return and after the year of return, because diasporans have come to Ghana and now they've made Ghana a destination to be.
Yes.
People are thinking of buying properties here and everything. I don't know if you recently heard the issue with Michael Blankson. Blackson.
I did not. I
Okay.
heard something about that, but I'm not familiar with the details.
Okay.
Yeah.
So apparently, this is not apparently. We all saw videos. He came to Ghana. He went to his hometown. He bought a land. He
I
built
remember
a
that he
school
had a school
everything.
and all
Yes,
of that.
great.
Yes.
So now the story comes from there. He set up $1 million, invested in it, the Eurobonds, hoping that it will mature and it will keep the school afloat and keep it going so that the less privileged can all have access to school. Now there's been a slash or a cut or something. He says that he's been robbed. His investment has been robbed. And now they're giving him options. It's either you take a cut off and then we give you some part. That's correct, right?
Yes.
Some part of the funds that you initially invested, and even that is not at a go, but it's going to be spread over a period of years.
Yes, you
Or
can.
you take a higher rate, which is not even up to 2%
Okay.
with interest, and that is going to over a span of a period of 11 years, I think. And he's very hurt. He is very, very broken. When you hear stories like this, seeing as you're trying to get the people to see us in a good light, to come down here, learn about our customs, our traditions, our culture, and probably to come back home or see us as family enough to want to come back home and invest in us as a people, as a country. What do you think? How do you feel?
Well, I mean, without knowing the details of what really, the details transpired and transaction, it's very hard to make an educated pronunciation about something that, my perspective will come only from headlines.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I can't directly comment on that just because I don't have the details. But on the bigger scale of things, Ghana is poised to be a place where our brothers and sisters, come back to connect with the continent. And that's like an ideal that even in the song in Ghana, I talk about that. It's right on top of Mount Zion.
Yeah.
You know, with gladness, I wipe my tears. Lord, raise my flag, red, gold, and green. You raise the flag, the whole diaspora sees the flag,
True.
and everybody starts coming. And we have put that energy. Our energy about the return of the people is more spiritual thing of reconnecting with their ancestors, where they're from, their DNA, connecting with us, because there's been a big disconnect. Our brothers and sisters who we used to know, now we don't know them anymore. They've out of another, but then through the music and culture and so many of the things we've kept together, and now they are seeing the importance of coming to join us. But also with every situation too, you're gonna have, nothing is gonna be perfect.
Okay.
There's gonna be situations like this, or situations too that to some extent, are probably gonna be a reflection of certain transactional things that happen, which obviously, because I am more of a spiritual aspect of the return, I'm not financial, and and I'm not selling, like I'm not telling people to come so I can sell them something. I feel that they just need to come and reconnect. I feel that we should keep instilling that element, and even Michael, like through what he has gone, whatever he will go through, he still shouldn't compromise his love.
He actually said he can't. He said everything is telling him to just leave, abandon it, but he can't, because he loves the land.
No, it's not that you can. You can't leave yourself. You know what I mean? You can't leave. You can't rape a part of you to belong to another. So with everything and life has its ups and downs. Everybody's life, you've gone through some transactions and it's never been the outcome of what you want, either through whatever means that transaction happened, but you still have to trust in people. You still have to try, you still have to believe that, you still have to work with people and all of that. So my thing is that it's an unfortunate situation to hear that something like that has gone on with him, but I believe that shouldn't destroy his love for Ghana, and also the vision of whatever he wants to do for his people. He has to keep doing it, because stumbling blocks and obstacles and all of that are part of stepping stones to realizing our biggest dreams. So as unfortunate that as it is, and I empathize with him and all of that, it shouldn't compromise his love. It should still be that voice that is still on the side of our people, on the side of connecting our people together, on the side of, pushing Ghana, because our country is a blessed land, and it's also the land, and the country has been there before we all came. And it will be there before after we go. So our investment of trust for this land is something that is eternal, and I don't think that any issues that we find along the way should diminish that commitment.
Right. Okay. How about? Oh no, not how about. You are a goodwill ambassador, environmental ambassador for the UN. I've heard you talk about the Galamsey risk and everything to the land and to the people as a whole. What do you think we can do? Because right now I see that some towns, I've heard that the youth of some towns have taken it up upon themselves to go to the Galamsey sites and drive out the miners and all of that, because they want to save their land. They've seen the damage that is causing to the land, to the trees, which then would affect the air, to the water bodies and all of that. What do you think we can do now?
I think that, when we start seeing the value of what is being destroyed, and we start like doing the correct thing, in terms of making sure that the trees are not cut, the trees are not destroyed, and the thing is that I also want to put a disclaimer, is that Ghana was called the Gold Coast. So mining has always been a part of this country's identity from a time memorial. So it's not like it's never, but it's just the way that
It's
I
done
feel
now.
that, and then the practices too, whereby the cost to some of our natural assets like our rivers and our land and all of that is where most of the conversation is focused. So when now we see that, our drinking water, and all of these things that could affect our health too are being impacted, I think that an awakened mindset is important. But then at the same time too, we are a country of laws. So we understand that, this is something too that has to be done within lawful structure, if it can, within lawful structure. And also the dangers of vigilantism, which sometimes, the intention might be right, but the execution of it might not be right. So I'm just saying, all I'm saying is that we as a people, right now, there's been so much conversation about it. I've been talking about it. That's why there's not much I can say anymore about it. Apart from that, this is something that we all need to work together. The government, the people, the judiciary, the security services, the chiefs, everybody who's affected need to understand the gravity of the situation, and we need to all work across with each other to solve that issue, and solve it in a way too that still preserves the integrity of our land and our natural assets.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. So we will take a music break, and then when we are back, we'll talk about rice. Is that okay?
Yes.
All
yes,
right.
yes.
All right, so yeah, we are taking it back to the room. I'm
Yes.
putting Rocky in the mood to want to raga and reggae and everything.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea.
So much fun, to be here.
I like that.
Yes,
I like
yes,
that.
yes.
Let's talk about rice. Tell me
Yes.
about rice. As a matter of fact, I like the artwork.
Yes,
When Adam
yes.
sent it to me, I was like, oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah, rice.
So I want to hear the story.
Well, rice is an Afro roots song,
Okay.
and so when I say Afro roots, rice is when you listen to rice, it's a fusion of reggae, high life, and certain hip hop modern elements.
Okay.
By the same time, it is music with message. You know what I mean? It's
Okay.
you're dancing, you're moving. By the same time, too, it's meant to inspire. Because I feel that even when you wake up in the morning, to rise up and go and do what you need to do, you need motivation.
Yeah.
You need inspiration.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's about the power in being self-motivated. The power to know that the bottom is not
The resting point.
the end.
Or the end, yeah.
You know, the bottom is also the means by which you can spring up to the top.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
and so it's all a matter of perspective, but to recognize the power that lies in all of us if we decide collectively that we want to stand up for something great and beautiful.
Wow.
And I feel that it's also a song about, you know, the time in which we are now. You know, Africa is, you know, it's an amazing, thriving continent with the biggest youth population. You know, a lot of smart, amazing people, creativity, innovation. Many people have traveled and learned so much from many lands. The knowledge that at first, some other knowledge that at first was hidden from us, now we have all of that knowledge. So it's all about how do we now organize all of this knowledge, but under the banner of a vision, a collective one vision that we can be able to now be able to magnify all of these gifts so that it will be for the benefit of our people. So Rise is about that. It's about standing up every day, even when you wake up in the morning. It's about just standing up, breathing, and when you breathe in and you breathe, you breathe out, you've won. You know, you are alive. You know, and that's about Rise. You know, it's about finding the big things in the small things.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that. So we'll take a listen to Rise, but hold on a second. Let me ask about the farming. As a farmer in Ghana, as a cocoa farmer for that, are you cashing out? Are you harvesting?
I'm harvesting right now.
Okay.
But it took us a few years because we were dealing with a lot of issues of, you know, kind of, you know, dealing with black pod and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a 10-acre farm.
Oh, wow.
You know, and now, you know, with a lot of care on it, this year is like our biggest harvesting season.
Great.
So since the season started, I mean, it's been really amazing, like how much yield we've gotten. And then, you know, as I don't, even my cocoa farm, one day I went and some Galamsey people, I started. Yeah.
What did you do to them?
Well, we didn't catch them.
You had seen.
Yeah. So there are people there right now every day. So that's why I always feel that this thing is a bit close to home in terms of when it comes to the cocoa farms and all of that kind of stuff, because they went in there and started prospecting and digging holes and all of that inside the place, you know. So so you know, so we have to, it's something that, you know, we just have to keep spreading the message so that if it's done through, if it's somebody's concession, then that's a different thing. But when you have people just roaming everywhere, and when there's opportunities, they just take over and destroy some land and capture whatever they can, then we are steeping on lawlessness, you know. So so that's, sorry, my cocoa farm.
No, it was good. It was good.
But then I have coconuts too, so I grow coconuts, and then I'm also into exotic trees. So I have like a garden that I have, like, you know, breadfruit, jackfruit, curry plants, you know, Malay apples, like, you know, it's kind of I bring like different plants from different places, and then when you look even on the ground, you know, you find all the turmeric, all of the other stuff to growing out there. So I like gardening, I like nature, I like to tap into as I say, you know, God is nature, you know. I mean, if you want to find the true temple of God, you know, start going to nature and you find it. And I believe that there's just so much healing, and you know, once you connect with that too, there's a lot of inspiration too that comes to you.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
that's why
that.
the farmers are always happy. You see that.
Yeah,
you go there, everybody's like, oh, they are not, but you go there, Charlie, somebody from his farm. There's such a beauty of happiness and gladness because you've been working with the earth. Yeah, and the earth, as you give the earth energy, the earth gives you energy too.
Wow.
You know, so
wow.
So but we should respect our farmers.
Okay.
Yes, respect.
Yes. Back to what I was going to ask. In recent times, we've heard that some cocoa farmers are not entirely happy. We know that cocoa is actually one of our cash crops in this country, right? Yeah. But they haven't been too happy with what they get back for their beans. Yes. And so we've heard stories of some smuggling their beans to other parts of Africa, to some of the neighboring countries, just so they can get a better rate from the foreigners out there. Can can you relate to this story, or are you
Well, this is my
fortunate
first.
enough?
This is my first harvest, but I know that the amount of work that you put in, and also the price that is being given. The cocoa has a lot of work.
Sure.
You know, it's something that you have to. It's a very kind of sensitive tree. You know, diseases and stuff can. So you have to constantly be taking care of it. And then when it fruits too, and you harvest it too, you have to harvest. It's not like mechanized harvesting. It's people that are cutting everything, cutting it, opening it, spreading it, like having it, covering it, having it fermented, and constantly turning it out and all of that. So constantly it's labor intensive. So there's a lot of money that is invested in just getting to the point where the beans are dry. So I think that the farmers, we should, and cocoa is the heartbeat of our nation. And I believe that farmers should be given a fair share for their investment and their energy to contribute to this, so that farmers will feel like preserving the farm is more important than now, transforming the cocoa farm into something else that alternatively might be worth it than what they're doing. So I think that there needs to be, as part of the solution to Galamsey, is a solution for cocoa farms. Because if we now start elevating the price of cocoa, having cocoa be worth it for people to get, then now you're also attracting the young people to go into cocoa. Because the cocoa farming too, when you look at the median age too, is getting to a point where you don't have a lot of youth and
it's just the oldies,
so it's an aging tradition, but it's the leading product of our country. So we need to right away do some big intervention on a level that can transform, can make it attractive to entrepreneurs, young people, to see that you can also, and then to learn also the value chain of cocoa. Why are we not making local chocolates? Why are local, because in the US, I remember I used to have people who were chocolatiers. They can come to even parties and make their own chocolate for the party. But that culture is not, I have never seen any cocoa farmer being able to make their own chocolate from their own, these are stuff that we should be training and teaching a whole new generation, so that we can have the value added to cocoa right here, and then can be able to also kind of expand how much we make from it. So the farmers who are doing it too, it will be justified for also them to be paid
the right amount.
The right amount for them to be able to stay in business.
Is that something you're going to do with your cocoa? Are you going to sell it, or are you going to become a
for now,
chocolatier?
I have always loved chocolate, but I've also, I've been studying also in terms of the origins of, cacao, and, like the native Indians, a lot of Indian tribes, like in Costa Rica. Like when I was in Costa Rica, I went and visited the Biribiri, who are like a traditional indigenous people. And they told me like their creation story, like when God created the Biribiri, God gave them corn and cacao. And cacao was, it's an integral part of their tradition. So they make this traditional drink, where the cocoa, they roast it, like how you roast granules. Then they like husk it, and then afterwards they grind it, like how you grind. Yes, they grind it, and then they grind it into paste. And then they add like honey or sugar and stuff and other spices to it, and then they eat it with banana.
Oh my goodness!
They put it on banana, or they make drinks out of it. And when they drink, they said in the ancient times, cacao was seen as the food of the gods. It gave you energy. So they drink it, it gives them energy all day long when they are in the forest and all of that. And so cacao was seen as a very elevated crop. So it's something too that has so many different, but for them to, and then you have something called mole. Mole is made from cacao, where they use it like how we make granule soup. So some Indian tribes, they use it, they prepare the the cocoa, and then you add all your vegetables and all of that kind of stuff, like groundnut soup. How
Peanut
you make
soup,
it, like peanut soup, but you don't put sugar or anything in it. It's natural, and mole is so good and tasty. It's more a savory aspect of this. So there are so many different ways, So I'm very interested in all of those dimensions, like doing it for export, but at the same time too, not only for export, but also trying to let other, my, people who follow the work that I do, that, farming is also an important thing for the young generation and the new generation to see it as a direction for, an evolving democracy and evolving economic power like us. If we are going to be an economic power, it has to start from what we transform our land to.
Okay.
Because the first important aspect of economics, even, is land.
Yes.
Once you have land, that is the first capital.
Okay.
Everything else is leveraging that land for everything. So we have to make sure that we have laws to protect the land of our people, and then, empower the youth to transform that land in a sustainable way to create new types of innovations that will be so transformational that can also add value to a lot of our traditional natural products that we have here. And in doing so, to give birth to new industries. I think that if we start looking at things that way, then we are looking at solutions from within and not looking from solutions from without. Because from without, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable.
All right. So now let's take a listen to Rise, and then we'll be back.
All right.
Yeah. 101.9 FM. Would it come live?
And you need to stay winning, just like you said. Even falling to the ground is a way that you can spring onto the next level and onto the top, so you have no choice. Like, it's not an option. Please rule it out. Where can we get Rise, and is there a video to it?
The video is available on YouTube right now. So everybody that is watching, is listening, please go on YouTube and watch the video. We need to ramp up the numbers over there. And then if go to AudioMark, all the platforms, and go and Rise and listen Rocky Dawuni live, Rise. And also with your TikTok and your IG photos and reels, please choose Rocky Dawuni Rise as your song for all of your, connecting with your friends. Let's keep elevating this. The video was directed by Twins Dunberg,
Ah.
and it's amazing.
They're doing
amazing-
direction now. Wow.
Oh, you have to see the video. You have to see
I
the
need
video.
to.
This is world class.
Wow.
This is world class product. This is world class Ghanaian legendary visuals that we have going with this song.
Okay.
And then we have, choreographers and, people from the University of, Arts.
Ghana?
Yeah, University of Ghana, and other collaborators who came. This was like a collective work with
Beautiful.
designers, clothing designers, set makers. We just brought the creativity of Ghana together to make a masterwork.
I like this.
And I think that it is self-evident when you watch the video. So everybody, please watch the video, share it with your friends. Let's keep raising Ghanaian music. Let's keep elevating what is Ghana. Let's believe in our country. Let's support our country. Let's support each other, and let's keep rising together.
We'll rise together. What's your YouTube name again?
Rocky Dawuni. Yeah,
Okay, Rocky Dawuni.
Yeah,
Go
just-
get the video.
Yeah, and
Go
then
take a look.
leave me a comment too.
Yes,
Yeah.
let him know you came from Highway 1019. please.
Catch us
Very
and
necessary.
utie hanom na oko e na
Aha.
oko sign in wall no. Yeah.
I would like to know, what's your go-to genre apart from Afro roots?
It's diverse.
Okay.
I go through phases.
Okay.
There are certain times that I'll be on the hip hop binge. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So if it's either classic hip hop or new hip hop, then certain times I'll go on the reggae binge, whether it's like really classic reggae stuff or, kind of new dance hall stuff.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of times too that I go into soul music. I try to go into soul. I take times and then after I go into genres, I also like to go to artists.
Okay.
Certain artists, and then even classical music. I like to listen to like Mozart and all of that.
Beethoven.
Yeah, like orchestral
Beautiful.
music and the music that has such incredible complexity and
Yes,
expanse of
yes.
experience. And I think that for me it's a constant excitement for me to discover new things. But right now I listen to classic high life.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of high life.
And who's your dream collaboration? Anyone at all, alive or dead?
Yeah, the things that I don't want to say that and I box myself.
Okay.
You see, because I think that collaborations are natural. You might meet somebody like one day you'll just be hanging and you'll be like, hey, I like, and all of a sudden you go and then you make it happen.
Yeah.
But when you see, and I feel that you see that having been the artist that is constantly doing a lot of collaborations because I've never, I don't like the gimmicky aspect of it sometimes.
Okay.
And everybody says strategy. Oh, I want his audience, or I want him to be on. It's always a strategy, and I'm kind of once everybody they go there, they go the opposite side usually.
Yeah.
So, but I appreciate the art of collaboration, and I feel that when it comes and it's natural, and it's done right, there's a certain magic to it. And and when you hear collaboration that that the two of the people came in with the beautiful game to make something good, and they collaborate and work together, you can see that what comes out is magical. So for me, my dream is a magical collaboration.
Okay.
Yeah, a magical collaboration.
All right.
That's my dream.
Okay.
Tell me five artists that are on your playlist, Ghanaian artists that are on your playlist in recent times, or who
Right
have
now-
been on your playlist.
Oh, right now, dear, I'm listening to, I'll say IEC.
Yeah,
it's
boy.
on my,
Okay.
it's, I've been listening to him, Enam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Enam is one of my favorites
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah.
So let me see, I mentioned IEC, I mentioned
Enam.
And
As a matter of fact, let me send this to them. AI, you owe me an interview. And you owe me an interview. this is to attest to the fact that you guys need to get on this seat.
Yes, Walasi has always been like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
There's an amazing artist from the northern region too, who I feel like is going to be the next big thing.
Okay.
His name is Lazy Boy.
Okay.
You know,
That actually
yeah.
comes into contact with our connection, our question of the day.
Yeah.
Today we were asking for the names of our all artists that we think have been slept on for a very long
Oh,
time.
Lazy Boy.
And
He's
yeah.
so influential
Really?
in terms of like in the northern region, like a lot of places. He's hard working. You know
I
what I
need to
mean?
check him
and
out.
How is
constantly.
it spelled?
It's spelled Lazzy.
ZZY. Okay.
Yeah,
Lazy Boy.
Lazy Boy. Yeah.
Okay.
I need to
Lazy
check
Boy,
him
yeah.
out. So there's one more left.
There's one more. One
Yeah.
back
You
up
said
there.
AEC and
Lazy
Walasi,
Boy.
Lazy
Boy.
Boy. There's one more left. Let me see. I have to. One more. Oh my God. I remember, but I can't really remember her name.
By the she.
She.
Okay, the
Ago-
girls are winning.
Agoso.
Agoso.
There's a girl that sings for
Really?
a band called Agoso.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a
Agoso.
traditional.
Okay.
You know, and once in a while their live videos come
Out.
to me.
Yeah.
But she's this dynamic performance, and they always play with like from traditional xylophones and all of that.
Wow.
And of course, the Pan African Youth Orchestra. Now I add one to them.
Yeah, so
Ah.
you six and
Pan
all.
African Youth Orchestra too is.
Agoso.
You
So
know,
now I have two people to check out.
Yeah, yeah,
Lazy
yeah.
Boy and Agoso.
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
check them
yeah,
out.
yeah.
I'll check them out.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Thank
It's
you.
election year, so just in a few words before you leave, what is your message to the people? And someone wants to know if you're open to frontlining a campaign or putting out a campaign song, if you're open to it for any political party. I told him it won't happen, but
Oh, I mean, why would they even ask me such a question?
I told him it will not happen.
Yes.
But yeah, he just
No, I
said
don't-
to
I
put it
don't-
out there.
I don't write music for
For
campaigns.
yeah.
Okay.
I you know,
Yeah.
I make
For the
music,
people.
people for the people. So,
Mm.
but and that's not to say that anybody who does it is their own decision
Yeah.
and their own pathway. I don't decide what others do with their careers, you know. But most important thing is that that peace is the most valuable commodity.
Right.
And the value of peace is always not realized until it's lost. And we as a people have to understand that our peace, although strong and has been resilient, is still fragile
Sure.
and can easily be broken. And when our actions lead to us losing this, we might spend years in the darkness of that loss trying to piece it back to how it was today.
Sure.
So I appeal to every aspect of, you know, both the citizens, the political parties, the leaders, the security services, everybody, to make sure that this election is peaceful, is fair, is free. Every Ghanaian that wants to express their civic responsibility is allowed to do that in the spirit of building a stronger nation.
All right.
And if a leader is elected through a transparent and obviously transparent mechanism, that we all should stand behind that leader so that leader becomes successful.
Okay.
Because once we collectively elect a leader, we can't say because he was not from my party, so we are going to go rest till the next election and hope that he fails so that we come to power. We all have to work to support our leaders to be successful. That's how we build a nation.
Yes,
So that's my message, you know, and I look forward to also exercise my personal civic responsibility
Okay.
on that day.
see you on the 7th then.
Yes.
Thank you so very much, and for making time to come have this conversation with us. We are super grateful.
Thank
We
you.
wish you all of the best, and we are also keeping our fingers crossed till the first quarter of the year 2025 for the album.
Yeah, for the
Is it?
album.
Yeah.
And then obviously this, we are going to be pushing this album. So please support it.
We got
Support
you.
the video.
We got you.
You know, and everybody that's listening, nobody say because I talk too much, you forget the music.
No.
The music be the reason why they talk too much.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, so
Yeah.
let's all work on that. And everybody should have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your weekend. And you know, another thing I want to tell everybody is that check on your families. You know, if you date town for a long time, call your mother, call your brothers, use this weekend to check on your family. You know,
Okay.
family is important. And as Africans, that's the foundation of all of us. So let's check on our families and let's support and be there for each other all the time.
Thank you very,
Yes,
very,
all right.
very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the legend, the myth, the wonder, Rocky Dawuni. Thank you. Okay, so coming up next is Jonathan bringing us the sports update. So you just might want to stay back and take a listen to that. He's bringing you everything you need to know